So what happens is the following. First, let me change the numbers here so that it is more clear. So before changing that, notice that this on-hand inventory is pretty close. It varies a little bit, but it's very close to this safety stock because we set that safety stock, okay, or to be more accurate, we set the reorder point so that we have this safety stock, okay, and we are around that value, okay, and that 463 is the buffer we have to cope with the variations in changes in demand. Okay, if we have way too much demand, we might have a stock out. We are going to set the reorder point to exactly the demand during the lead time, in which case that means not having inventory safety stock. So let's see what happens. Well, by the way, I just this changes because I have a the random values changes everything. I change anything in a cell. Okay, I'm going to set the update into manual so that it doesn't change and we can see these numbers for the rest of the explanation. So we have this level here, which is 1200 items. So it goes down, 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 down. And in this case, until we do not arrive to 600, we do not place an order. So it takes longer. We can change that. We can change, if I don't forget, I can change it later and see that this just, if I change this to a low value, this curve just move a little bit to the left. So let's keep with these numbers. What happens here is that we place the order when we get to this 600. And we need to, we set this value because this is the amount of items we need to have during the lead time, because this inventory we are going to request from our supplier is going to be received 2 weeks later. So when we have enough inventory level, all of this curves are overlapped. I'm looking at the blue one, but I have enough with the blue one so that I can cover my demand for 2 weeks. I place the order, which will be received later. So I placed the order, which was 400. Okay, I'm just using these numbers for this chart to be more clear. So I have an order which is exactly 400, so my inventory level rises from 600 to 1000, and the demand keeps decreasing, okay, until I get again to 600. And in this point, I need to make sure that I'm going to I set this 600 because I need to make up for the demand from this point to this point here. Because what happens here is that I'm taking into account that with the 400 I'm going to order, plus with the 600 I already have, and that will be received sometime in between these two instances, this here and this here, I can fulfill all my demands. Okay? So the point here is that I'm expecting to receive this order I placed before. So again, with this value here, 400 plus the 600 I already, with the 600 I have in inventory level, I can get to this point because this 600 is the 200 I still have on hand plus the 600 I placed before. So that is my inventory level plus the 600 I'm going to place now makes up for the demand until next when I receive the current order placed. And so it goes. So the point here is that I have more than one order to be received in between any in between the lead time. So I have, for this 2 weeks lead time, I have 2 orders to be received and so on. Okay, but the logic is exactly the same. I need to make sure when I place the order, which is here, 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 that I have enough inventory, but not only on hand, considering what I'm going to receive, I have enough inventory level, that's why I'm looking at the blue line, so that I can fulfill my demand during the lead time. Okay, that is the key. If I set this value to 100, what I will see, and I need to recalculate now. Okay, I need that instead of having one order in between when I place an order and I receive it during the lead time, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, and they are very wide apart. Okay, these two lines, but the behavior is exactly the same. When I'm deciding to place a new order, I'm looking at the inventory level because I have 6 orders placed, which I will receive prior to receiving the amount I just placed, and that amount I'm going to receive are going to be available for fulfilling the demand during the lead time when I decided to place a new order. And if I write here 200 and recalculate, okay, I have something similar to what we are used to. So when we are going to place this order, the point, and we need to make to make sure that we have enough amount for during the lead time. Okay, the point here is that our inventory level is exactly the same that our on-hand inventory, but actually we are looking at the blue line because the blue line takes into account what we have on hand and what we are going to receive, and those two quantities are those I should take into account for fulfilling my future demand, which differ. Again, I go back to this number and recalculate, and this happens with values here, which represent an amount which I'm going to run out of before the lead time occurs. Okay, in this case, look, I have a short stock up. Okay, so this is what happens, and it is not unnatural to have several orders placed. This might happen if the inventory level, the holding cost is very high. I prefer to pay several times for placing orders than having a large amount of inventory within my warehouse, because as I increase this value for, let's say, let me do that again, from 400 to 800, this red line gets higher, so I have more inventory level. I'm placing less orders, so I might be willing to have a larger ordering cost, so that I have less inventory on hand, which represents a lower cost. So it's not unnatural to have several orders placed that will arrive over time, and the logic is exactly the same. But the major thing is that we need to take into account the blue line that sometimes coincides with the red line, but as it is the case here, sometimes they do not coincide when we have to place the order. I hope this clarifies how this policy works when we have lead times that are, let's say, too long or longer, not too, but longer than the time we need to run out of the EOQ, or this EOQ is not very accurate, let's say lot size, because it is only the EOQ when I type here 100. If not, it's just the size I'm ordering for my orders. So again, I think this helps you, and if not, please ask me any questions.